And interesting, you've mentioned quite a few times, the flexibility that you're increasingly offering the workforce, and the fact that most of your team, your employees, don't have the luxury of being able to work from home. Like, the big topic that we hear about at the moment is hybrid work. But the reality for many organisations is a significant proportion of their employees don't have that opportunity. They're working in factories, in the warehouses, or directly with customers. I'd be intrigued to hear how you've approached that as an organisation. For example, how you create equity when some of the workforce is potentially working hybrid and others don't, and even where you've got people working maybe more virtually versus some others that are maybe in an office more, and they're part of the same team. How you create that equity across the team and across the organisation.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about, this discussion on equity in general, right? It's just really intensified over the last few years. What you're referring to, David, is one example of that, right? And as business leaders, around the world increasingly recognizing, the role that the private sector can play, an important role in building a just and equitable society on all these different dimensions. So I think it's important to frame up the conversation by underscoring, that increased representation of historically underrepresented groups is a part of that story. Achieving true equity, requires building a culture that really leverages the benefits of diversity. And we firmly believe that. We talk a lot about what that means at the consumer and why our teams need to look like our markets. And it needs to be a place where our colleagues feel comfortable bringing their unique ideas, their perspectives and experiences to the table. So it's not just diversity, it's the inclusion side of that, or else you don't get the benefit of it. So, at Mondelēz, we're building the culture in a number of different ways. Yes, we're trying to meet the changing needs of the frontline workforce, yes, and our office-based teams simultaneously. And I can maybe give a couple examples of what we're doing. So, we have a global holistic employee well-being program that we launched about 18 months ago that we feel really good about, and it was well-timed. It does include this focus around a flexible working pledge, and what does that mean, so that we all support each other in this different way of work, and that we're committed to flexibility. It's probably one of the greatest things that has changed since the industrial era around ways of work, and at Mondelēz we want to lean into that. We do think that better work-life balance is a huge benefit for everybody. It's attracting more diverse talent for us. It's enabling us to reduce our environmental impact, and it's also improving productivity. So there's like a win-win in a lot of places around this shift. And then, as you were talking about, the front line and those that aren't able to have the same type of flexibility, there's other ways that we've been supporting them, right? Around employee assistance programs in particular, helping to get better at this whole wellness topic and break the stigma around mental health challenges. And we offer a broad range now of educational programs and training tools to help colleagues address what we say is sort of, mind and body, and also connection. How do we do that using technology and do it in a way that's responsible and doesn't feel overburdensome, where you don't have balance and you can't, feel fulfilled on your job, wherever that job may be in Mondelēz. We've also significantly expanded our inclusivity training. This is a big component around equity in general. We've got a couple thousand of our leaders already across the enterprise engaging in understanding how their leadership activities really have an impact in advancing diversity and especially inclusion. And we have a robust set of programs and practices to expand the pool of our diverse talent. Maybe your listeners have a lot of interest in this, because I know a lot of our HR teams and the peer groups that I'm part of, we spend a lot of time, talking about these areas, seeking to hire more diverse candidates, but also to help make sure that the candidates that you bring into your organization, they have every opportunity to grow and develop and stay with the company. So, a couple examples at Mondelēz, we have a goal to ensure gender and racial diversity on all of our hiring slates. so that for manager level positions and above, we know that that is a contributor to better success, not just in hiring, but also making sure that people will be supported and committed from the leaders that will be around them when they get into the organization. And we're, in addition to building these diverse slates, we also track the percentage of women interviewed versus hired for the opportunities where they were considered. And I'll share kind of an interesting fact, but in 21, we over-indexed by almost 2-to-1 ratio of the percentage of women hired versus the percentage who were screened for the open positions. Basically, that means we have an orientation of leaning in, and when we have qualified female leaders, we're hiring them, which is great. That's a continued progress that we're seeing around global hiring for women leaders. And in the US, a couple things that we're doing, we're partnering with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, where we offer financial assistance to really outstanding students attending one of its member schools. That includes 47 of the publicly supported HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, and predominantly black institutions. And we're also a lead national partner for the Boys and Girls Club of America's Youth of the Year program.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.